Hey, welcome to another episode of Dave's Imaginations. Today we're going to do a recap of last night's Dungeons & Dragons game from Thursday, April 28th. This, our last episode of Dave's Imagination presents Dark Queen Ascension's Adventures in Barovia, as this is our last episode of Adventures in Barovia. To celebrate that, I'm not going to run a flying dragon intro. I'm going to go ahead and run the full DQA Adventures in Barovia intro. Let's enjoy. Okay, so last night we began with Olak had just cut down Strahd with his magical swords, reducing Strahd to 0 hit points. And instead of the first time Strahd was reduced to 0 points, instead of dying outright, he reanimates into a mist and floats into his coffin. The coffin, which somehow magically closes and magically seals. And that is where we began last night on Olak's turn. On Olak's turn, he used a knock spell and the coffin vibrated and bumped up and revealed that it was unlocked. And Ruckus. I don't know if I said Olak before. It was Ruckus. Ruckus walks up, does his knock spell, opens the coffin, and to reveal Strahd lying there, starting to regenerate in power. As the gang all take their turns going up and pummeling him with damage to keep his hit points down, until Gloin comes up with a stake and drives it through his heart, pinning him into the coffin. And Strahd's eyes open in terror and a voiceless mouth of scream. And as that has happened, Irina walks up and with the sun sword in her hand, dragging it behind her, sparks flying as she walks up to the coffin. And as she goes up to the coffin, raises the sword, but then puts it out. Puts it on her hip and looks at everyone and says, "I'm sorry, everyone. This is the only way." And he lifts up Strahd and takes a bite into his neck, drinking in his lifeblood and sealing her as a vampire, taking on the curse to herself. And with that, giant eyes appear on the wall, spectral in nature, as it watches this sacrifice, this ritual of transference of the curse from Strahd, draining his life force into Irina. She accepts this curse and says, "It was the only way, and you have until the morning to flee the land of Barovia. Yes, everyone has this opportunity to flee if they so choose. But I hope you don't. You've come so close to me." And she accepts this, and she pulls the body out of the coffin and starts dragging it. And she's going, "I must show the rest of the castle that I am now the new leader of the Barovia and this castle." And as she starts walk away, Strider moves the moonbeam over her and just takes her life and puts her to the ground, killing Irina. And as they are all conflicted with this idea of the curse that now Irina is going to be the big bad, and so Strider puts her down, but the eyes narrow and say, the voice in all their heads says, "No one shall leave. No one shall leave Barovia until someone accepts the curse." And on Varinka's turn, she picks up Irina's body, shoos off the dark elf that's standing on top of the coffin, and places Irina's body back into the coffin and seals it and climbs up and looks at everyone, just dares them to knock her off. It says, "No, we must honor Irina's sacrifice." And they're not happy. Gloin, Katota, all the whole gang, none of them's happy with this choice she's made without their consent. But so after a turn has passed, Irina heals enough to come back out of the coffin and says, "So why have you tried to destroy me after my sacrifice for you?" And I understand it's confusing. I must do this. And she crawls out and starts dragging Strahd's lifeless, bloodless body, and they take it back up to and before they leave, though, Katata makes the threat to all of them that says, "Hey, we'll be back, and you better be good," and all that. And they even tried to destroy the eyes, but they just vanish and they blink onto the other wall. And as this is the god, the Impeder, and they can't do anything about this. And so they leave and they go up to the main floor of Castle Ravenloft, where there's a bloodbath, where this massive battle has been taken on. And we went through each of the people on the good side and each of the people on the bad side to figure out who survived and who didn't survive. Rictavio, Esmeralda, through the fate chart, they bought it. They died in the battle. On the flip side, on the other side, many of the spawn and at least one of the brides died, but someone that didn't die was Escher, and one of the brides, they survived. On the good side, the revenants and the ilk from Castle Argynvostolt, they, with their deed done, they transcend into the next level, whatever's beyond, and they left, and with their success, with the completion of their curse, and otherwise leaving at the end just the two, just Escher and one of the brides. And then we rolled a fate chart. Would they join Irina? And we rolled an exceptional no, we won't stay with you. We will take this country from you. And they storm away. And then with that, the bloodbath resolved. Then we did some goodbyes and looting, as I know Katota and Ruckus, they go up and they secure the chests from the accounting room. They free the accountant and they pull it back down. This is their loot, their reward for what they've done, and they carry that off. They commandeer, or the Irina gives them the wagon and horses and their father to drive them back to Albert Lodge. But Katota and Ruckus, they don't ride on the wagon. They go to Crest. They use a teleportation brazier to go to Crest and make their way. In Crest, they buy a couple of horses and they make their way to the tower, where they hook up the horses and they claim as their own Mr. Fuzzy Boots, right? And Mr. Fuzzy Boots, and they take all of that to Albert Lodge, where they meet up with the others, and Katota tells the family that was helping him, that says, "You may run this lodge now in my stead. I don't know if or when I'll return, but this is yours until that day I do, and run it as you would." And the group of them get on the wagon and they head toward the mist, and they travel through the mist, hour, 2 hours, however long it is. But when they come to the familiar gate that they had once come in and now go out, as they enter back into Neverwinter is ablaze. Not entirely. Houses here and there are fuming from smoke. As dawn rises, they can see this. And as they travel down the streets of Neverwinter, did I say Barovia? I meant Neverwinter. So as they travel down the streets of Neverwinter, they see guards on the corner, but they're not normal guards. They're orcs. And as they go down the street, they can see some people dressed in the robes of the Cult of the Dragon. Now, that had been there before, but there it is again. And as they're driving in, a red dragon flies over them. And it flies to Castle Never and lands and there's not one, but there's two dragons there. And then there's a third much larger dragon raises its head and looks over the city. It's like, oh crap. This castle, the city of Neverwinter has fallen to the green tide. The forces of Grumsh have taken over. But in league with the cult of the dragon and reinforced by sleeping dragons have returned to the land. And now, as they realize that they're in danger, they're in peril, they must get out of the city before they are captured, the number of them are turned invisible, except for Katota, who transforms himself into an orc. Orc that he doesn't speak, but Varinka does. As they pull up to the gates and they have a conversation, this orc, believes something is amiss, but there was a pretty good persuasion check, and to get out, he just took a bribe and he let them leave. As they left Neverwinter, they drove south for a while before turning east. But when they did turn east, they looked off in the distance horizon to the north, and they could see Mount Hotnu. Mount Hotnu, a long dormant volcano, has now smoke coming from its top. It has its energy has built up once again as they are heading east toward Fortitude. As they're heading east toward Fortitude, there's a good 8-hour journey. They take a 2-hour break, and I give them the benefit of the long rest. In that long rest, they do all advance to the 10th level. And hours pass as they are about to approach Fortitude. They realize that Fortitude is also under siege, has also fallen to the powers of Grumsh and the Green Tide. And Gloin remembers that they had invaded and they were looking for something in the city. As they contemplate why have the dragons returned, and Gloin can see that this mansion that was once under construction is now totally built on the outskirts of Fortitude. Some amount of time has passed. They don't know how much. They don't know what has happened. And they do know that although the town is under siege, there could still be some allies within that town that they could glean some information from. Couple of those people could likely be Trakmar and Helga. Trakmar and Helga have likely had their baby. And so I thought it might be fun if we jump over to Foundry and see what kind of baby have. So here we have the happy couple. Yeah, she doesn't look so happy, does it? This is Helga, the Goliath, the muscle bound. She used to be a professional body. She was a strong lady of a traveling circus. She is rippled with muscles, but she has just had a child. She has just had a child with her husband, Trakmar. What sex is that baby? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's go to the fate chart. Let's just say, since I have to ask in a yes/no format, we're going to say, did Trakmar and Helga have a baby girl? Did they have a baby girl? Let's find out right now together. Yes, they had a lovely baby girl. They had, can you imagine, this baby that's half Goliath and half orc? So does it make half Goliath, 1/4 orc, 1/4 human? I think so. I think that would be the ratio, something like that. And so they had a baby girl. Now I'm gonna leave the naming of this baby girl to Glenn. I mean, that's Trakmar was his character. I think that's only right that Glenn would name this baby. And so we have now ended last night's session. Dark Queen Ascension Adventures in Barovia has ended as we enter what I'm calling Dark Queen Ascension, the Fallen, as Neverwinter and Fortitude have fallen into the hands of the Green Tide, the forces of Grunch, the cult of the dragon, and the dragon kind. So what will happen next week? What will they learn? How will they get in? We will find out all that and more next week. But as a special ending, let's give you a taste of our new intro.